are a lot of ways of selling things that you've made by hand. Online, it feels like there's a new selling site popping up on a daily basis. And if you ever look at anything to do with crafting online, the chances are you've seen an advert telling you how you can quit your day job and become a multi-millionaire by living the crafting dream. Except I'm going to burst your bubble and tell you, you probably won't. But for this video, I'm going to be talking about a few of the downsides of selling things you've made yourself. And I'm going to be specifically talking about selling in the real world, in person, rather than online selling. Although I've done a little bit of online selling, most of my experience has been in selling at festivals, craft fairs, community events and custom orders, so it's more face-to-face than the virtual world. And if you've ever done that too, you'll probably recognise a few of the things I'm going to talk about. And if you haven't, it's something to think about before you start, if you're planning to start trying to sell your own crafts. This isn't me trying to put anybody off, I'm just trying to balance out some of the living the easy dream myths that are sold to people by sites that have a vested interest in making people believe that selling handmade crafts is easy money. Which doesn't mean that you can't sell things that you've made yourself, just that it might not be the easy quit the rat race dream that the selling sites are trying to persuade you that it is, but that's probably a whole topic of its own. For now, I'm going to talk about a few of the things that you might come across if you do make things by hand to sell. I mostly make jewellery and accessories, but what I'm going to talk about can apply to any kind of creative work carried out with the hope of making money. I could make that myself. I've heard this one quite a few times when I've sold on stalls. Now there are different ways people can say this, some are innocent, some are not so much. Sometimes people who make things themselves will strike up conversation about things I've made and discuss their own interests. I don't mind those people because they have a genuine interest and know what they're talking about. But some people will say it dismissively when you know 9 times out of 10 they don't actually know how to make whatever they are trying to dismiss. They just assume it's easy. I often hear this one when parents are telling their children they don't want to buy something because the child could make it themselves. Which is fine, sometimes they can, and I appreciate sometimes it's a fed up parent being subjected to pester power for the millionth time that day. But what they don't realise is that a lot of the things I'm selling would work out far more expensive once they've bought all the materials and tools needed to make them. So unless they are really interested in turning the craft into a hobby, it's not necessarily saving money to make it themselves. Can I return this thing I bought and have worn for months? I know this isn't exclusive to handmade sellers, these people can be a pain in the proverbial for regular shops too. But I have honestly had people custom order things, wear them and then want to return them so they can spend the money again. I had one person buy a bracelet at the beginning of a festival and then she came back just before it ended and wanted to return the bracelet because she suddenly remembered she was allergic to metal. Now I'm not saying people can't be allergic to metal, I am myself, but it's not something you conveniently forget until you run out of money and want to buy one last drink. Another person custom ordered something, wore it for 6 months and then when they were low on funds one day and wanted to go to the shop, they asked if they could have their money back so they could have something to spend. But not only did they want their money back, they didn't even have the thing they bought with them at the time. They just thought they could get the money and give it back some other time, if they remembered, because apparently I could resell something that was made to measure another person and had been worn for months. Your time has no value. One thing you quickly find out if you make things by hand is that no matter how good people think what you make is, and how many times people might ask if you sell them and tell you that you should sell them, quite a lot of the time they will think that they should be the exception. Which if you're just hobbying is fine, or if you're just doing swaps with somebody who does crafts that you don't do, or maybe a close friend wants something that won't take very long. But I had one person tell me, and I quote, "I'm doing you a favour, it'll be good practice for you." But there's a couple of things wrong with this. Firstly, I'm a grumpy old woman, most things I want practicing I already have practice in. Secondly, nobody would actually want the thing they were asking for if I really needed practice. Nobody wants the prototype with all the mistakes in it. Nobody's asking to walk around in a sweater that's got 3 arms and 2 neck holes. Nobody. No, they want the stuff I'm already practiced in, but they don't want to pay for it. They want me to spend days, weeks or even months making them something for free. And some of them don't even want to pay cost price for the materials. They want me to pay to make them something as a favour to me. Seriously, don't do me any favours. And if those people aren't bad enough, there are the people who don't mind paying as long as the money's going to charity. This was one of my favourite comments, made about me but not to me. This particular woman complained that she didn't mind paying a little bit, but, and again I quote, "I don't mind paying £1, but not if the money's going to them, because it should be going to charity." She genuinely expected that I should be selling something that took 5 hours to make for £1 and that pound should go to charity. The materials alone would cost more than that. Don't get me wrong, I know people do make things to sell to raise money for charity and there's nothing wrong with that. but they usually buy cheaper materials or even get materials that have been donated. What would be the point of spending £5 on a ball of wool, making something and selling it for less than what it costs to make and then giving the money to charity? That charity will be better off just getting the £5 I spent on the wool, and I'd be better off saving myself the bother of spending hours making anything at all. But nobody does this to you if you work in a chain store. If you worked at Tesco, for example, your friends and family wouldn't turn up at the checkout while you were working and expect to get their shopping for free. Somehow, that is seen as a legitimate way to make money, with no expectation of giving massive discounts or people doing you a favour by not paying for their shopping. So this video is not intended to put people off trying to sell things they've made. I'm not trying to tell anybody what to do. It's just a few of the things that you might experience if you do start making things to sell. And if you do, you can come back to this video and tell me I was right, because that is my favourite thing to hear.